And hello, boys and girls and families. Today we're going to do some measuring, some more measuring. And yesterday we did some measuring using our feet and steps. Okay, so that sort of works well for measuring things that are a bit longer usually. And hopefully you talked with your family about what was better for measuring super long things. Is it better to use your feet toe to toe, or is it better to take steps? Which one is certainly easier, and which one do you think was better? And then for things that are smaller. So today, our lesson, this actually comes from one of our families that they were doing some measuring earlier this week, and this is really your idea for this lesson. So super cool, and just thank you once again for all you're doing. I don't think I say it enough, but all the work you kids are doing and you parents are doing with your kids to make sure their learning continues. And thank you so much for sort of doing my job for me. It's just wonderful. So anyway, thank you. And anyway, here's our lesson. So here we go. So the idea was to use Lego blocks, and we use blocks at school, but you know what? I've never used Lego blocks for measuring, and it's a wonderful, wonderful idea. So thank you for teaching me. So what I thought our challenge would be is to make I've made a little chart here. I'd like you to just try maybe two different units of measure, okay? So I've decided to use the small block, which we'll call a 1 by 2, okay? So we have one row, 2 wide. And I've also chose to use a big block, okay? I didn't have a lot of the 4 by 4 blocks here, and I don't have a lot of the 2 by 6, the 2 by 2 and the 2 by 3 blocks. So we're doing a 2 by, and actually this, I've labeled this wrong. This is not an 8 by 2, it's a 4 by 2, because we have 4 rows of 2. All right, so glad I caught that. All right, so pick some things to measure, and let's just talk about, so I've picked some things. I picked, this is Gracie and Simba's bone. We have a pen, we have a key, I have a spice thing. Pick things that are small, probably smaller than your hand, or around that size. Maybe one thing that's a bit longer. We have a little Inukshuk here. I didn't make that one. We have a little remote control, and we have a wooden shoe, because my wife is Dutch, okay? So one of the important things when you're measuring, this is a measuring tape, okay? And on a measuring tape, when they make them, they make sure that all the units that you measure with are exactly the same, okay? So this is called inches up here. So they make sure from 2 to 3, this inch looks just like the inch way down here, okay? It's going to be exactly the same. And this is centimeters, which we're supposed to use in Canada, but a lot of people use inches. I use both sometimes. So so they make sure that every centimeter, that this centimeter is exactly the same as this centimeter. So measuring with our Lego, we want to make sure if we're going to use the 4 by 2 block, we only use the 4 by 2 block. We can't measure with a 4 by 2 and mix them all up. It just won't make any sense, because we want to know how many of these blocks long it is. So let's do our key, for example. So let's take a guess. Let's use the small blocks first. How many small blocks do you think it would be? So I'm going to take a guess, and there's a small block. There's the key. I probably don't even have enough. Let's call it, what do you think, 12? So I'm going to go to so the small block, I'm going to guess it's 12. And then I'm going to guess on my big block 2. So I'm going to lay that along there. I think it's a little more than 2, a little less than 3. So I'm going to make my guess 2. All right, now you're going to measure. Now, one of the important things with measuring is when you start measuring, you need to line up the end. This is one of the super important parts. You can't start measuring here, like this. You can't start measuring here. It just doesn't work. You need to line it up right at the end, and you get it as close as you can. And this doesn't need to be perfect, but we're going to try. Now, the other thing when you're measuring is it okay to have a space in the middle? No. You need to make sure, just like with our feet, your toe to heel. So you put them right next to one another. Is it okay to overlap them? No. You make sure, just like our feet, we go toe to heel, toe to heel. So we have 1, 2, and can we get a third one in? I would say not. So this key, how many Lego pieces is our key? Now, I guess 2, but what was it really? I'd say it was actually 2. And you'll notice that things that are a bit shorter are easier to guess at. So let's measure now. Let's do with our small block, and I probably don't have enough small blocks, so let's set it up here. So this one, now do I put that block there? Do I put that block here? Do I line up that block perfectly at the end? Just like with our steps, and that is where you can see it's perfectly lined up or pretty close. And we're going to put our blocks. We're not going to overlap. We're not going to leave a space. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I'm running out of blocks, 8. But what you can do is you can actually sort of cheat as long as you don't move the other ones. And 9, is there room for another one? I don't think so. So we just got to pretend there's another one here. So let's pretend, let's do our pretend one first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Mr. McElroy's guess was 12. And was 12 right? No, and I was a little bit off. So the real one was 8, okay? Now, if you don't have Lego at home, you could use paper clips. Now the one thing to be careful of is to make sure all the paper clips are about the same length, okay? You don't want a little tiny paper clip like this one and measuring the same. Just like at the tape measure factory, they make sure all the inches are the same, all the centimeters are the same. And just like at the Lego factory, they make sure that all the 2x4 Legos are the same, and they make sure all these are the same, not for measuring, just for building. So have some fun. Maybe pick 3 or 4 things to measure. Have your parents or your family members, your grandparents, help you, aunties, uncles, whoever it is, help you with the chart if you want. And good luck. Just measure some small things. Would love to see what you do. Get outside. It's going to be a beautiful day. It's going to be windy, but have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.